My name is Teresa Jennings. I have been building websites since 2004. I've been working with WordPress since November 2012. What I know now is exponentially more than I knew even 6 months ago. Because I've been really, really committed to learning as much as I can. I've been doing graphic design for over 40 years, and I just really love doing WordPress. So I'm going to try to show you how I was able to integrate desktop server and GitHub and Coda 2. Coda 2 is my code editor that I really, really love. I know that other people like to use Sublime Text. I know other people like to use Sublime Text or Espresso or fill in the blank, Notepad++, but I just really like Coda 2. So what we're going to do first, and the thing about doing this is you have to do it in a certain order. And it is at this point for building locally and pushing changes to GitHub. At this point, all I'm able to do is push, I usually am working in the style sheet, and so I'm able to push the changes on my style sheet versions to GitHub. How this is going to work with a live site, I'm using desktop server, but when you use desktop server locally, at this point, with the current version of desktop server that's out, it only does full deploys, it doesn't do incremental deploys. And so that's a little bit of a problem there. But Greg will probably talk about what you're hoping for coming up.
Sure.
Maybe he'll talk about it next week. Okay, so first of all, as you can see, I'm the desktop server, and we're going to do a WordPress install to get desktop server. So we're going to see where it says create new development website. We're going to do that. I'm going to change this to testing. Okay. Greg was kind enough to do a blueprint for me that will install not only WordPress, but it will install the framework, the Genesis framework that I use, which is technically a parent theme. And it's also going to install Executive Pro, which is a Genesis child theme. Okay? So that's what we're going to do right now. Yay. Let me just slow down. It's creating the database right now and pre-configuring the WordPress files and restarting the web and database services. Okay, so I go to that. That is the base Executive Pro child theme. Greg, this is something that has flummoxed me a little bit for the login. What admin and password am I going to use?
Oh, it's admin and it's password.
Far out.
I made it really tough.
I haven't heard that in
Never.
Super secure password.
Yeah, never use that.
I never do.
It's all caps, so yeah.
I just do testing and testing when I'm doing stuff like this. Testing. I don't have to think about anything. Okay, so I'm going to log in. All right. Okay, so WordPress is installed, and that's all good. All right, now I'm going to go, there is GitHub, but GitHub also has a desktop app that you can use, and it integrates with the online version, and it's nice. I mean, you could probably just go straight to GitHub online, but this is a nice little thing here. So we're going to do GitHub. And then what you do is you're going to create a new repository. The repository needs to be empty. That's what I learned the hard way. So right now, this is the repository list that Greg has set up. We're just using this, we're using Greg's repository on GitHub right now. And so we're going to click this plus icon and create a new repository. Okay, we're going to name it. And I'm just going to call it testing. And then the local path. Greg, where should I save this?
Wherever you'd like.
Websites? Okay, let me see. Well, I don't know your system here. It's going to be in.
You can put it under documents, websites, it's fine.
Okay. Is that where the website is for the?
Oh, the one that was just created? I'm sorry, I didn't understand. So choose and then go to, scroll down a little bit so you can get to the data drive on the left side, the scroll on the left, there you go. And go to data and then to users and Greg Franklin and documents and websites.
Just so that you know, I really hate using those laptops because of the trackpad, so I apologize if this is making me crazy. Okay.
There we go, websites.
Tesla? Where's it going to be?
It's going to be alphabetical order, so scroll down.
I'm sorry, what?
Scroll on down to the T's.
You want to use your mouse? Or you hit a T.
What was the name of the site you created?
Testing.
Yeah, so it's down in the T area. There you go.
Testing.
If you want a mouse to read it.
Huh?
If you want a mouse, you can read this.
Oh my gosh. Yes, sir.
Let's give us.
You need to turn it on.
I'm left-handed, but can only use it. It's not, it's
Yeah,
not.
turn it on.
Hit the on switch to the left.
And then you gotta.
Get it here.
It's not seeing.
So you want to click it? Usually that starts the process.
There you go.
There it goes. It's moving now.
No, that was me.
Oh.
Totally fooled us.
That's okay.
No, you can go here. Have somebody get. It's on, right?
It's on.
Okay.
Two quick clicks.
There we go.
Mouse. Mouse.
Microsoft Mouse? No, that's not a Microsoft Mouse, it's an Apple Mouse. That's okay, I'll just use the trackpad, I'll just be a little bit slower than I thought.
Hit command. Crack.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
You also might find if you two finger scroll, two finger move up and down on the trackpad, that's a scroll gesture. So when you're within that window area, go ahead and do two fingers, and then you can scroll to, rather than having to grab onto the handles over on the right.
So what we're going to do is we are going to go into WP Content, Themes, Executive Pro, and we're going to put this into Executive Pro. Once we do this, it will create a directory within Executive Pro.
So this is initiating the
This is
Git
creating a
repository?
repository.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the repository?
Huh?
What's the repository?
It's called testing.
No,
what is a repository?
Oh, a repository. A repository is a location where you can keep subsequent versions of a file, so that if you make any mistakes, you can roll back to a previous version. Right now, what I'm doing with one website that I'm working until I can get this all figured out for a live site is each day when I go into work on the site, I'll create a backup of the style sheet and assign it BAK and then assign it a date. And it's sitting there, just in case I make a mistake, I can roll back to that style sheet.
So this is another step away from cowboy code.
Yes, it is.
So how is that any different from just doing, say, us at the finals for that day?
Well,
It's a good question.
potentially,
And
I'll
what's
be able
get,
to.
sorry, I'm asking one question. What's
That's
getting,
okay. Potentially, it's a way of pushing your various versions to GitHub, which is the holy grail of doing web development.
what is get?
Well, GitHub is a version control software that allow you to.
Well, Git is. GitHub's.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. GitHub is the website. Git is the software that sits on the server that allows you to create versions of your code. Like, so let's say you're starting a new project and you start writing this code, and you begin actually by creating that repository, just like Teresa was saying. It's called like initiating the repository. And then there's like a little process. So it allows you to work offline and online. So what the Git repositories will allow you to do is to backtrack through history of your code. You can go back to there's something called a commit inside of Git. And every time you commit, it's like a 3-stage process. If you could picture it in your mind, there's 3 things. So you begin by you initiate your repository, and then you commit something, and then you push it. Okay, so there's 3 steps. So the commit gives you kind of a version,
A snapshot.
a whole snapshot that you can jump back to. So let's say you built the widget, and then you're saying, well, I like this widget, but I want to add this function to this widget. So you go in and in the same code, you can create a function on the widget, and then you commit that. So you got the committed version, first version of the widget, you got the committed snapshot. But then you're like, man, I really don't like that. I don't like that function that I added to the widget. So you can step back a version to the original widget without losing changes,
Yeah.
And another nice thing about the repository, like GitHub has the free version has public repositories, and then you can also have paid or private repositories, but you have to pay for that. So up to 5 sites on GitHub, 5 private repositories, it's going to be $7 a month, and then if you go up to 10 sites, it's $12 a month. And so the nice thing about the public repository is like open source software where you have a variety of people working on it. So they can take a version of what you've done as a fork. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right.
They can fork that and work on it themselves.
Yeah.
And
It makes your coding social, which is really good because they have a lot of benefits of having your code out there in the wild. Other people get to test it. People can help correct it. Like WordPress began as a fork of another software back in, I can't even remember, I think it was 90, was that?
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago? Yeah, that's right. You're right. 10 years ago. It was a fork of a blogging software called B2 or something like that. And Matt Mullenweg forked it, and then he made it open source. So that's a really cool thing about
Another thing you can do with Git is once you create your base site, say version 1.0, you can create a branch that goes this way. You can test different things here and still maintain that original base going straight in this direction. So if you have to make quick updates, you can go 1.1, 1.2, and then when you're finished with this branch new development work, you can merge it back in. And now you have a 2.0 version. So
Let me
it's-
let me
I
move
guess
forward
I'll
on this, if
follow
that's
it
okay.
myself so I can really get a handle on
Okay, so I'm going to do create repository here. Okay, and I I can see the local, no local commits and select a commit. If I want to look at all the repositories again, I just click here. This is probably, and there's my testing repo. Okay. All right. So, and what I did is I actually created. Oh, I have to find it again. How do I get there? I have a folder for my websites in my docs, so I can just go straight to that. I don't have to drill. So, what I did, Greg, help me please.
You're just trying to get back to that folder?
Yeah.
And do you want to do it in Coda, or do you want to do it just from the Finder?
Now I just want to show the folder.
Okay, go to the Finder on your far left. Yep, all the way to the bottom.
I see it, I see it.
Yep. Go to the data device.
I will go. Thank you.
And then from the data device, we're going to go to, whoops. Yep, there we go. And
then,
it's under users, yeah. And then Greg Franklin, and then documents,
Documents,
websites.
websites. And then testing.
Just type T.
Thank you. Test update.
Nope, testing.
Who's that testing?
That's, yeah, that's not the one.
So command up arrow.
You're working on a few websites.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't have work on it.
There's some of them are tests, some are real.
So Greg, that desktop server, that's basically created, it's gone through the WordPress 5-minute install. It's
Okay,
basically
so we're
fixed
going
it.
to the executive
And it's
process
put all
so I can
your files
show
and folders in
you.
a specific location and it just back it.
I've gone into the,
Sets it all up, so you're ready to go.
the theme, and there's the testing repo right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to go to, I like to make sure, I'm sure there's not going to be any problem, I like to make sure my new repository is on the GitHub site. So, you know, if you go to, let's go back to repositories. And you want to see it on GitHub, there's the view on GitHub right there. And it will go to the site, and you can make sure that it's there. Okay.
Question.
Huh?
Does it automatically create it on GitHub when you create it on
Pushes the information to
So it
GitHub.
automatically pushes it, so you don't have to do, okay.
I like to, because I have OCD, I just like to make sure
Yeah.
that it's where it needs to be.
Yeah, if you, okay, so I'm sorry, just to clarify, the reason I asked that question is when you're using Git from the command line, which is the way it originated, you have to do a push as a separate step.
Well, hang on just a second.
She's not to the push.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get there. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to create a setup file from the blank HTML file. I can create a new file here. No, that's not it. I don't know how to do this on
PC.
How do I create a new file?
You're in a new file,
Do
try command.
you can use the plus over on the right. Over on the right at the top of the
There you
yeah.
go, sorry.
And that'll do
I
the-
haven't been using Coda 2 for a really long time. I've only
Thanks,
been
Chris.
using Coda 2 for probably about 3 or 4 months, so I'm still learning. And that's why I feel bad that you guys are having to,
You're doing a great job.
really?
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
guys.
Except for all the apologize.
Huh? I apologize for that. Okay.
We're all used to getting yelled at by our boss to finish fingers, so we're good.
Okay. So what I like to do is I just like to do, there might be a better way, but this is just how I'm doing it, okay? So, and then I'm going to do a save as. And I'm going to save this as setup.html. And I'm going to go back to data, users, thread,
Just type the first
documents.
line.
Huh?
You could type to get to the full, type the first line.
I'm not sure. Okay, websites, I'm just gonna do it the old fashioned way here. Okay, and then TEST. Thank you for that, by the way. And,
You're not testing.
testing, right there. Okay. Make this so that I can see the. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get this so that I can reach that button.
Maybe just hit enter.
Probably. Okay. Overview content, themes, executive pro, testing repo, and then. Okay. Now, open the GitHub app. See the changes button over there on the left?
Yeah.
Before that was all white, and now it's green and red. That means that it's seeing your setup file, okay? So, this icon right here is a toggle icon. If you do that, and you do, what you're gonna need to do is you have to do a commit comment. You just have to, with the summary, or it won't let you go any further. But you can see over here on the side where it says setup. Okay? So I'm just going to do commit setup. You can name it whatever floats your boat. And then click commit and send. And it just pushed that commit to the GitHub online. Okay? You can double check on the online GitHub to make sure your commit took, then you don't need to worry about it. Okay, now you're going to go to Coda. It's bigger now. And you can either click the plus button here, or you can, I'll just add site. Okay. Testing. You don't need to worry about any of this information. You're going to skip to the local URL, which is going to be http://testing.dev. You're going to go to the local root, and you're going to set that to your testing repo right here. Okay. Then you're going to go to source, and you're going to click that so that it's on. You're going to click that so that it says origin. You're going to save. Okay, now this is going to be for Genesis. You can take this information, play with it, and make it be for not Genesis, but Genesis. Genesis doesn't like grandchild themes. You know what a grandchild theme is?
Child of the child, I assume?
Right. Okay. Genesis is the parent theme. It's the framework. It is the parent theme. I'm using Executive Pro, which is the child theme, and that's about as far as Genesis wants to go. So they don't, so you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so on to that. Then what I like to do is open this. We're going to be working locally, so I don't need to worry about that. We're going to go back into Executive Pro.
You just want to go into the style sheet, or?
I want to move the style, I want to move this into,
You want to
The
move
repo
copy into
folder.
testing repo?
now I want to move the file itself into the
Oh,
repo
just
folder.
drag and drop it. Would that work?
That's where I'm trying to find where the repo,
Oh, it's actually the list up above. It's the fourth down on your folders. Fourth down.
oh gosh,
There you go.
I'm apologizing again. Okay, so, that didn't work. Okay, so now that's in the testing repo. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to right here in the dashboard under Genesis, theme settings, which is right here. We're going to scroll down to the bottom. And right here under header and footer scripts, and do link. Oh. And that would be link, not loom. Sorry.